So according to the original shipping label, this box shipped to Computer Mart of New Hampshire, 170 Main Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. And it shipped on February 7th of 1985. Let me open the box. You see this here. This is a... Now, Apple wasn't always environmentally friendly. They actually made this box out of plastic. Lots of styrofoam, too. Looks like Steve Jobs wasn't always as idealistic as he wants people to think. Anyway. So, what's this? Ooh. And this? Well, we're going to find out. Let's pull it out. Beautiful, isn't it? It really is. I mean, it's just stunningly gorgeous. Well, this is a Mac 512. As you've figured out, I've probably titled this video, or I'm going to title it, Macintosh 512. So that's what it is. It is what it is, but it ain't what it ain't. Let's take a look at this keyboard, shall we? Pull it out of the box. Come on. It's a thing of beauty. Look at this thing. Chunky, solid. Just how a keyboard should be. Look at how thick that thing is. Man. That is one thick keyboard. And of course, comes with a telephone cable to connect it. And it really does use a 4-pin connector. I believe it's really just a tone generator, honestly. So, let's plug this sucker in. And, yeah, there we go. We're going to need a power cord and a mouse. Well, in this box, we're going to find a couple of things that we're going to need. We're going to find a couple of floppy disk labels that have never been used. Some receipts, which you will see in a minute. The Getting Started brochure, Introduction to the Macintosh. And I don't know if there were books in this box or not, but I don't have them if there were. Yeah, there was. Yeah, there must have been. And it would have been this book here, which I don't have. I'm sure I could get one if I wanted it bad enough. But here are the original contents. One Macintosh, check. One power cord, I do have it. It's over there somewhere. Check. One keyboard, got it. Keyboard cable, check. Mouse, check. Owner's guide, not so much. Mac Write manual, Mac Paint manual. I don't seem to have those either. Darn. A guided tour of Macintosh, Mac Write, and Mac Paint, disc and cassette tape. I have both. And the cassette tape, by the way, is sealed. Never opened. System disk, check. A backup of system disk and Mac Write and Mac Paint, and I have that as well. So I also have the programmer switch already mounted on the side here. But sadly, the owner's manuals are gone. That is really sad. I even have 4 Apple stickers. Now these are the original Apple stickers, and I have them. Never used. I actually have another set of those. A newer set from another machine. From that 2CX or whatever the hell it is. So we got all that. We got the power cord. This is the box it comes in. I love the stylized artwork. That is so 80s. I mean, you couldn't get much more 80s than that. But we have to do one thing. We have to get back over here, and we have to get ourselves the other box here. And there's that. This is the box the mouse ships in. Can you believe it? Look at that. Now, this mouse has been used heavily. Can you tell? It's not in bad shape, but it ain't beautiful. I have seen better. I have better. I think I might actually have this exact same mouse at work sitting in a display case. So I'm going to go grab that when I go back to work on Monday. And we're going to see if I can't, swap the mouse out. Because I have one in better shape. Why not use it, right? And the power cord, wherever I left that. It's got to be here somewhere. Couldn't have lost it. This isn't a very big house. Oh. That is a quality outlet installation right there. I did that myself. Alright, here we go. This power cord is backwards. I think it's the wrong one. I think it actually goes to another device. It is a Mac or an Apple power cord. Genuine swine. And let's see, let's plug this in here. Okay. And let's go ahead and hook up the whole meal deal. I'll get the whole thing set up. Mouse, numeric keypad, and keyboard. And from these shiny spots, you can clearly see that this keyboard was used fairly regularly, but not abused. There's no dirt, dust, or any other signs of abuse, no scrapes, no scratches. I've honestly, in my entire life, and I know I've said this before, but I have never seen such a well-preserved vintage machine in my life. The only exception being the space bar has a lot of wear on it, and the mouse button has a lot of wear on it. But that's okay. I mean, I'm just that picky. The only problem we have here, and I just pull this out, the 400K floppy drive is bust. And look at how thick that thing is. Jesus Christ. So, we gotta crack this sucker open using tools. There is something wrong. Now, this is a single-sided 400K drive. It's not common knowledge, but the original 3.5-inch diskettes were only single-sided. Why? I don't know. Maybe it was a cost thing. Maybe it was a bureaucratic thing. Who knows? What I do know is the original 3.5-inch floppies only held 400K. Ooh, careful. Yeah, this is where a tripod would help. I have one. It's right over there across the room, but I don't feel like grabbing it, so sorry guys. I just don't like using tripods. They get in the way. I can't just... If I need to focus in on something, I have to grab the camera off the tripod. It's like, screw that. I do these videos for fun. And money, but mostly fun. Yes, I do actually make money on my channel. I won't say how much, but it's enough to support my healthy appetite for junk. Not drugs, I mean like junk, like scooters and computers and cars and yeah. So it's a fair amount of money. Not a lot. It's not like I could live on it. Not even if I tried. Not even, I couldn't live on my YouTube revenue if I didn't even have a house. If I was living in my car, I could not live on it. So don't think I'm making millions of dollars on this. But that's not what I do this for. I do this for fun and to show my unique passion for weird junk. to my new YouTube friends. That's why I do this. It's the only reason I do this. And because it's not really all that boring. It's always fun. There we go. One more screw. And we're going to pop this sucker open. I took a peek in the drive slot, and I saw that the heads appeared to be stuck together. So maybe it's something simple. Well, there's only one head, one read-write head, and there's a pad on the other side. I'll show you what I mean. Now to get this cover off. Damn it. Okay, this is what the tape drive mechanism looks, or the floppy drive mechanism looks like. Pretty impressive. This is the eject motor. This is a very, very different device from the current or the later model drives. That's the eject motor. It's a standard hobby-sized motor. The stepper motor for the heads is massive compared to the later models. And the issue at hand is that it simply won't eject. It just keeps returning. So this is a simple mechanical fault, as far as I can tell. Just some kind of piece of linkage isn't doing its job. It's gummed up or so. So let me play with it for a bit and see if I can't get it going. Okay, we've cracked this sucker open. It didn't take very much. But just to set the premise here, this is the very first 3.5-inch floppy drive ever used on a commercially successful computer system. This is the very drive that was used in the original Mac 128, which was the preceding model to the 512. This is it. This is the original 400 kilobyte drive that made Sony one of the biggest floppy drive manufacturers in the world, and is ultimately, because Apple was the first company to adopt this new drive standard. So what we're looking at, this is the drive motor, which is unusually thick when compared to drives of today and of yesterday, I guess. This appears to be the overwrite protection switch. Well, one of these is, or maybe they both are. Let's see, actually. See what it lines up to. One of them could be a disk in switch, but no, I think they... See, the original 400K disks did not have, notches on both sides. This is what they look like. They only have a notch on one side. So, yeah, well, anyway. So one of them probably senses disk in, the other one probably senses overwrite ability. And it's an optical sensor. It's mechanical optical. We have over here, if I can get this on camera, this is the read-write head, and this on top is really just a pad to keep pressure on the head, to keep the disk against the head. Okay. Now we have a better view of that actuator motor and the screw. Pretty cool. Now let's look at why this drive doesn't work. It's really simple. There is some gummed up lubrication on this mechanism. It's actually this little piton here, a real technical term, but now when the disk is ejected, this right here is supposed to drop upward to lock it in place, but it's not doing that. It's stuck there in limbo, so we're going to get some lubrication on that and get it worked free. I'm going to use non-detergent light motor oil. See how that works out. Okay, the disk launcher is fixed. I had to work some of this 3-in-1 oil into it. It's this little fulcrum right here. This camera doesn't focus so well. But that right there, that little, oh, you probably can't see it. Here, I'll balance this on my knee. Put the disc in. And you're going to see this, where was I? Yeah. You're going to see this little pin right here drop. It's going to be pushed up and then it's going to drop down. That's what was causing it. See? That wasn't moving. And that was stopping the whole drive up. That this little piece right here wasn't doing its job. It was gummed up right at the fulcrum. But now it's good again. So while we have it apart, I'm going to clean the head, the head singular, and put it back together again. So we're ready to fire this sucker up for the first time. Well, for the video, not for me. Apple is on the heels of releasing Macintosh OS version 10.9. What I have in my hand is something a little bit older. This is macOS 1.1, the original shipping OS for the 512. Who wants to see it go? Here we go. I'm going to pop the sucker in, and by the way, I am going to make backups of this disc when I get a chance. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. Okay, ready? Here we go. Oh my God. Wait for it. Bing. And we're booted. Ain't that cool. I gotta clean this mouse, get a mouse pad set up. See what's on the system disk here. Wow. Just wow. The file menus. A lot of this hasn't changed. It's been 30 years, about 30 years now, since the original Mac was released. And not a lot has changed. Not a lot has changed. Same basic interface. Trash can is still where it always has ever been. About this Mac, or about Finder, is a little bit different. That has changed considerably since version 1.1. But we still have the puzzle. Actually, no, the puzzle's not in there anymore. This is a numeric puzzle. You see it pretty well there. Yep. Same calculator. Let's see how this external drive works. I cannot put a known good system disk in here, so I'm going to grab just a regular old 720K diskette and put it in. We'll try to format it for. This is MacWrite. This is actually a double-sided diskette, so it shouldn't read it. Yeah, I didn't think so. My keyboard doesn't work. You guys screwed that up. There we go. Check that out. That's caps lock. There we go. Bing. And there we go. Sweet. Alright, we got that. Now, what we should do is make a copy of our system disk. We're just going to copy the whole thing to this. Just like that. You'll also notice that in System 7.1, the floppy icon was just slightly different. You can notice the difference primarily right here in the actual shutter of the floppy disk logo. It's a little bit more rounded, a little bit more oval shaped. So from here on out, we are going to be running this machine from this backup copy. Now it's recording to memory. While we're doing this, I'm going to tell you something about this machine that I was a little shocked to see. It makes it a little bit more rare, but it kind of hurts the value as an original 512. But you know, you be the judge, I guess. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and so is value in some cases. So what I'm going to show you right now is something that was done to this machine, and I'm going to show you the invoice of the work that had been completed. I have the invoice right here. Tell me what you think. Well, don't. Well, feel free, I guess. What we have here is some upgrade paperwork that was completed on this machine back on 9/30 of 1987. And what was done was the Mac Plus upgrade at a cost of $616, done by an Apple dealer from Nashua, New Hampshire, the original reseller of this machine. What that entails, now this was unique to Apple, and obviously they don't work this way anymore. Apple no longer runs their business in this manner. But if you bought a Mac 128, you could actually bring it to the Apple Store, and they would upgrade it to a 512. And they would do that by swapping out the motherboard. It was a very popular upgrade. It was completely endorsed by Apple, using genuine Apple parts. Now the other upgrades, specifically in this case, if you had a Mac 512, you could bring it to the Apple Store. Well, I say Apple Store, but I mean Apple dealer. They didn't have Apple stores in those days. You could bring your Mac to the Mac dealer, and a completely kosher, completely Apple supported upgrade path would be not to buy a new machine like they do today, but to have the back case and the motherboard and the floppy drive replaced at a nominal charge. And that was something that Apple did for many 512s. Not all of them, but there are fewer upgraded 512s, I'm sure, than there are genuine 512 originals left. And I say this may or may not affect the value, although I'm sure it does, because it was done under the Apple umbrella. You know, this was something that Apple completely endorsed and supported. using genuine Apple parts. And the reason the back shell was replaced is because the 120 or the 512 didn't have a SCSI port, as this one does. And you can see it actually has a Macintosh Plus 1 megabyte label, which was typical of the original Mac Plus series from 1986. And this opens up for the battery compartment, which is, I took the battery out. It was splitting, but it wasn't leaking yet. So, just thought I'd show that to you. This was a, so this is kind of a mutt. It's not really a 512 anymore. Most of the internal components have been replaced. I want to show you one feature that this has, or that OS 1 does not have, that later versions had. And that is the ability to drag the disk to the trash bin to eject it. You couldn't do that in this version of macOS. You actually had to go up to the Finder menu and eject from there. Oh, looks like that didn't work so well. Oh, crap. Maybe we can try a few times. No, I guess not. Maybe if I help it by hand. I'll figure something out with that. It just doesn't, I might need some more lubrication inside there. Oh well. Anywho, I was able to prove that this internal drive was swapped out by sticking an 800K formatted disk into the drive, and it actually read it. So the internal drive has been upgraded as part of the Mac Plus conversion. I don't know how much memory this system has, but I imagine it is somewhere in the ballpark of 1 megabyte. But being a Mac Plus, it can support up to 4 megabytes. Now I have a later model Mac Plus in my closet. It is it has been upgraded to 4 megs, and it is the later Platinum version. And what it is, it's exactly the same shell. It doesn't have the embossed, or the Apple logo. Actually, no, the Mac Plus didn't have that. Only the 512 and the 128 did. But it does have the silkscreen Macintosh Plus logo on it. It also has the original Platinum keyboard and Platinum mouse. Same housings, different color. So I thought I'd point that out. Damn it, I just... Really? That doesn't work, huh? We'll have to get to the bottom of that. And, oh yeah, no clock up here on the Finder, which is, you know... Come on, eject you. Not gonna happen. Well, the internal drive ejects. Now listen to the eject motor in the disk drive, because it doesn't sound the same. The 800K drive is a much more sophisticated unit. It doesn't... I gotta fix this mouse. It's not dragging anything. Anyway, Jesus Christ, I gotta fix that. There we go, eject. See, that's your typical Sony 800K floppy drive with auto eject. And that's what the newer one sounded like. This old one is you know, it's a very early version, so it's going to sound differently. So, gotta crack that sucker open again. Okay, here we go. Let's try it outside of the box. We're going to use the keyboard command, Command E, that's it, to eject. And it sticks. Anytime it worked. You know what it is? There's some wear in that mechanism, and it's just not quite. The tolerances just aren't what they used to be anymore. try that again. Yeah, that's probably it. The motor's working fine. It's just, yeah. Might have to check. So here's what I did to fix it. Okay. There aren't any adjustments on this drive that are obvious. What's happening was this cam is probably slightly worn, just enough to cause a problem. Maybe not the cam, but the wheel that it rides on. Remember now, back in those days, discs were ejected very frequently. You had to keep swapping discs. You had no hard drive, so, what did you do, right? So, here's what I did. Let me rename my disk. Oh, for God's sakes, that's fine. Anyway, so here's what I did. Since there are no adjustments, I made one. This little rod here, or this, I don't know what you call it, piece of linkage, there's a little slight S-curve or bend in the metal, right where my fingertip is. Right there. So what I did is I took a pair of needle nose pliers and I tweaked it just a little bit. And what that's going to do is compensate for any wear in the mechanism. And didn't work. You're shitting me. I just ejected 400 discs and it worked fine. It didn't work that time. But I think I'm going to give it a little more lift. Just a little more. So I can get a more consistent end result. Round 2. Give it a little more bend. What that's going to do is increase the pulling power of that linkage just a little bit. Just enough. Alright, I think we're good. Now let's button it back.